But yeah, no. But yeah, that's just like you were saying too, because it's like, yeah, I just people tend to, especially when it comes to depression, everyone kind of thinks they know, or they dismiss it too. That's another thing too. People will dismiss. Oh, it's just a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually not a choice, but it's.
Or they're just feeling sorry for themselves.
Yeah, you just don't know how to let things go, and it's like, yeah, I don't, and I need help to how to do it, but I don't have the tools. And then when you do give me the tools to do it, it's like now it's my choice in order to use those tools. So that's the point. That's where like we get to.
And your toolbox looks different than mine.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay. Our toolboxes are different.
Me and Ellis, we both have a naked thing that we do. Not together, but we both have a naked thing that we do.
Which I thought was weird. I thought that was super.
You thought it was weird that we had a naked connection thing?
That it wasn't together.
Not together.
That wasn't
but
together.
we both have our own individual, separately done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
rituals that get you through the day.
Yeah. So one of my, I told you guys about my dead body club.
Yes.
All right. So my very first conversation I ever had about this is like, I was trying to figure out how do you weed out your good friends from mediocre, and it was this conversation. All right, there's a dead body. Something happened, and there's a dead body. So my friend that I had this conversation with, he's a doctor, and so he writes scripts every day. He diagnoses people for bipolar, for clinical depression, and he goes, it was just part of his job until he had to have his son committed. And his son spent a month in a program because of depression and suicidal thoughts, and it made it very real to him. So I had a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago, and said, I said, Paul, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. Because old real friends, you don't need to do all the catch-up stuff. I go, here's a show I'm working on. It's called 1 Degree of Separation, a funny look at depression and suicide. I go, all right, so right there, what's your impression? Just the title. He goes, well, it better be good. And thank you for taking something that nobody will talk about and trying to have a conversation about it, because that's my first thought. And so we had this long conversation about, as a doctor, what things would you want to make sure are covered? Because you see this every day.
I saw that list, right?
And so we had a long conversation.
Do you want that light on?
No, it's good. And after the conversation, I had him send me a synopsis of the conversation.
Okay.
I go, you need to send me all the notes of everything we talked about, because I'm not going to remember it. And the things he was talking about was, so these are his points. Things I wish people without depression knew about those who do. Because I see two groups of people that we're talking to. One is people that struggle with depression, and the other is people that love people that struggle with depression. And they need to know what tools do they have, what things are okay to say,
literally everyone in the room is
right.
either the person or the
right.
person who
it's that 1 degree.
Someone.
If it's not you, then it's somebody next to you that struggles with it. And so he said something. He said, if I ask somebody if they're depressed, they'll lie about it. They'll say, no, I'm fine, I'm good. He goes, if I ask them, are you having suicidal thoughts? He goes, they're always honest.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit. So where are you at in the process? And then he can ask specific, where are you at in this? He goes, and I think people are afraid to ask that question. I go, yeah, because they don't know what to do if you say yes, right? If somebody asks you having suicidal thoughts and you say, yeah, a little bit, then they're like, shit!
Yeah.
I don't know what to do after that, Do I call 911? They don't know what to do. So here's his notes. What he wished people without depression knew. It doesn't equal feeling sad. Everybody gets sad. It's temporary. Depression is longer lasting, more associated with lack of concentration, anger, feeling empty, fatigued, and in a fog. Number 2, just because someone starts feeling better doesn't mean it's over. Treating depression is a lot like treating diabetes. Because your blood sugar gets better doesn't mean you quit treating the diabetes. Many people have chronic depression that needs meds for the rest of their life. Depression meds don't make you into a zombie. Has anybody had good...
I never. No, mine's didn't.
Has anybody had good just success with depression meds, or is it just like
amazing
for you?
Yeah.
I'm on Prozac, and it's it works. But
the Prozac works for you.
It does. It takes the edge off, but I don't feel like a zombie. I feel like I can cope. I can cope. I can prioritize. I can, like I was telling you guys earlier, I can think about what I'm going to say. I can tell my husband, I need 15 minutes. As opposed to being like
it gives you that break time to...
Yeah, it does. It gives me that break time to think about it. But that coupled with therapy. I don't think a pill is going to make you navigate life.
You need them both.
Yeah. My therapist is my...
Not just came in today.
Yeah.
and she's been on Zoloft for the last 4 or 5 months with, sorry, my voice, with
she's got postpartum, right?
But she has other stuff going on in her life. But she said it absolutely made her feel horrible. Yeah.
The Zoloft.
And her doctor said, well, it's helping, isn't it? And she's like, I don't want to interact with my new baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be with my husband and my children. My husband's becoming mayor next week. So she took herself off. They're trying to find something else because one pill won't fix everyone.
No. Paxil fucked me up for a while.
Well, that one too, yeah.
Paxil
I had those two.
Zoloft made me super okay for like 5 years, but definitely affected my weight and my my sex drive. And then Prozac and some medicinal marijuana works really well for me. Yeah.
What about you, Carlos?
I had to stop because of Zoloft. It was making me all like just all wonky, and I didn't really like the feel. And I didn't. And I did it for like a month and a half because they're told to give it a month, give it a month.
Right.
And then I did Paxil, and then Paxil got me to a point where I didn't have any feeling about anything at all. I was just like, I went to work, and I remember being at work and being like, it was just everything was blah.
It was numb.
Yeah, there was no feeling, and I was like, "This is not what I wanted." I lost like a ton of weight, and I look tired all the time.
What was that?
What was the latest?
I took a picture of myself. I look scary, and then so I did that, and I didn't really for me now it had to do with the self medicating. I stopped because I would self medicate. I would
with alcohol, with drugs,
with alcohol, and do blow. Because blow, I do a lot of coke.
Made everything better.
Yeah, coke just made everything at first. Because on top of that too, I'm like ADD, and I found out later on, like
coke,
will level you out.
Sudafed makes me focus.
Right.
When it usually makes people like wired, Sudafed makes me buckle down and focus. If I have a project at work, I still do it. I still take Sudafed.
Coke is straight up. What's for the kids? The
Ritalin.
Adderall.
Yeah, Adderall. Yeah. I could do a whole dissertation. I'm ridiculous on cocaine. I'm like, all right, you guys, let's get it all together. We'll fucking put everything down. I used to just function. Just that's all I would do, just to function, was do coke, and then to level it out, I would drink some more, and then I would drink. And after a while, it just like turned into like, well, I don't really know how to drink now. I could just do coke, and then I would do doing blow to like clean the house.
Yeah.
And then, or to watch a movie so it can keep my whole attention span. Because I used to like to drink and go see movies and just get hella drunk and be like, this movie is great, I can hella feel it. And then after a while, Coke was just like, I'm very into it. Matter of fact, I could break down the whole first act, and then the second act starts here. This guy's, his price range, he's going to die because they can't afford him the whole movie. So he'll die probably in a second. So it's just,
I know his day rate.
Yeah. So I had to stop. But that's that. But then I got into the program, and the program helped me out immensely, because then that's when I started getting the tools on how to function without self-medication and kind of without medication. So it's like, for me now it works.
So I went and got diagnosed as an adult.
And God, yeah.
I went and got diagnosed as an adult. I kept reading all this stuff about ADD and just going, oh, that sounds... I wasn't hyper. So when I was a kid, they didn't have ADD. As a matter of fact, I think they came up with the term in 1981. That's when I graduated from high school. So before that, they had ADHD. So if you weren't hyper, then you're just not applying yourself. And so I had Kaiser, so everything takes 6 months if you have Kaiser. So I go to the physician's assistant, and she goes, we have these observational questions. Before we do that, why do you think you might have attention problems? I go, look, here's elementary school, junior high, here's high school. Here's how I pay my bills. And she's like, we don't need to do the questions. I'm going to refer you to the psychology department, right? And she goes, but I have to tell you, she goes... they're very busy, and when you call them, they're going to put you on hold for, just be ready. It's going to be like 45 minutes. I go, I'm telling you, I have attention problems, and you're going to put me on hold for 45 minutes? She goes, I'm so sorry. I get your point. Yeah, have a headset or find something else to do. And so go to the psychologist, same thing. She goes, well, we have these observational questions. Before we get to that, why? And I go, she goes, yeah, we don't need to do the questions. I finally get the psychiatrist, and he asked me, so do you ever do crack? You do cocaine? You do... He goes, it seems like a weird question, but people that have ADD have found other ways to medicate, and Ritalin is meth.
Yeah.
He goes, we make ours in a laboratory, and it's more consistent than make theirs in a garage, and you don't know what you're going to get. He goes, but it has a different effect. I go, I liked cocaine so much that it scared me.
Yeah.
I liked it so much. It's like, if I don't stop doing this, I'm going to end up in a gutter somewhere, because you just felt like, wow, I could
Made you feel
focus
normal.
and get
Made
things
you
done.
feel
I could
normal.
organize
Yeah.
things. I could.
It was
Yeah.
a trip
Because
because
it had a different effect.
One of the last times I was doing it, I was laying down in the bed because I was like, oh shit, it's 4:30. I need to go to sleep. I got to go to work tomorrow. And I was like laying down, and then I could hear my heartbeat, and I was like, holy fuck. And I was like, man, I could die right now. I could die right now, and no one's gonna know. No one will find my body until 6 o'clock that day, because they all assume I got up early and went to work, and so I'll be laying in my bed dead for 9 hours before someone finds me. And I was like, oh, this is not good. That's the way it goes. Yeah. But I was just like, the thing too, you were talking about how the Kaiser. I have a bit where I talk about that, where I go, I don't like Kaiser because they don't listen.
No, it's good if you don't get sick. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I go there and I'm like, yo, I was waiting in the waiting room for like 2 hours, and they finally call my name, and I'm like, yeah. They go, what's your problem? I go, I got a depression and abandonment issues. And what do? They put me in a room by myself for 2 more hours. You know?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Hey, dinner's ready.
Let's eat. You
Okay.
guys starving? Let's get some food.
I was like, it needs more flavor. Let's throw. Brad's like, bacon makes everything good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Good call.
So what do you guys think? You like that format? Mm-hmm. I come out, leave your political correctness. Mm-hmm. I'm going to host it. I'm just going to do a few minutes up front, give them a laugh, maybe do my little squeaky toy thing.
yes.
And then...
I'll break the ice. That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Ellis? Are you going to just come up and do 7 minutes funny, or are you going to do...
I still would want to...
you want to theme it?
No. I mean, just based on the format of the show, I want to fit in the show as best I can. But I'd want a callback. So I'd want to talk about I'd probably do some jokes about my dad and mention that I was adopted.
Right.
So that at least...
So then when we sit down, you're
and it's just a joke, just a straight up joke. You're just doing the joke. You know, but I was sitting there like one of my favorite jokes is, you know, my dad was black and Native American, but raised me traditionally black, and he left. You know, and he doesn't think that's funny. But I was like, that's a joke. You know, you kind of had to be there.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's clever, and it always gets over.
But it's real.
But it's real. And
Right.
it's not, hey, and that's why I'm depressed, or it's not like
Right,
a
right.
flash that, it's just that
No.
you can keep it moving. And then you're talking about, oh, then I was adopted, and then my life was really good, and, you know, in these ways. And so then you're like, later on when I'm talking about kind of my experience, then they'll have a base of what, instead of just doing the jokes I think are the funniest,
Right.
I want to make sure I do
Jokes that are pertinent.
the jokes that are their character, you know, that kind of...
And I think that's why 7 minutes is nice, because you can do both. I don't want to. I want that to be up to you guys, right? I want them to get to know you, and so if that is through jokes about depression, about your stuff, that's fine. But any material that's more about your life and your personality and who you are and why you're who you are,
Right.
as opposed to
And you saying like, and in my head when I see the structure, I love writing structure on stuff, and the way I see it is like when you were doing that intro, I was like, oh yeah, Brad's gonna host this whole damn thing. So I can see you doing that at the very end, going, you know, I talked to my my doctor friend, and he does this and he does that, and he asked me these are the 7 things we need to talk about, and going over it, knowing that Carlos has already covered 2 of them, I've covered 2 of them, you covered Stephanie covered 2 of them,
Right.
and that there's one left, and going, oh, we didn't cover this, and then be like, who wants to have that? That being kind of like it's a way for the host to kind of let us all know, hey, like we're at the end of the show,
right.
You know what I mean? Because if it's going well and it's going
So
good,
my big concentrations are thinking of
because I'm almost
the
thinking about the
beginning.
closing.
How am I going to start it? Because I've got to get their attention, and I've got to somehow let them know a little bit of what the evening's going to be. Right, a little bit. I don't know.
I think
Like
it'd
a
be,
movie, they don't tell you at the beginning of the movie.
I think it'd be funny if you said
about
about 4 comedians
Right.
and 4 depressed people with me, and then
Right.
we just happen to also be the comedians.
That's good. I like that.
So, what about questions from the audience at the end?
I love it.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's key.
Yeah,
I think that's key.
But you gotta have the answers.
we got to have our answers. We
Well-
have to have the answers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
All 4 of us are pretty quick-witted. We'll be able to do it. That'll be probably a good
I'm still destroying
the show.
hecklers.
Do we
I'm still no mercy to hecklers, dude. Such a depressed ass up, you punk ass bitch.
So here's kind of the balance is. I know. You just had it. You're laughing right now. You gotta wipe your chin before you laugh.
Those who live in cheesy houses.
Yeah. Now I lost my thought.
but I was thinking too, like,
Oh, that balance. So here's the thing: the balance of keeping it very real and very honest, and keeping it.
light.
I'm thinking clean, but I don't like the word clean, but so that we can do it in a corporate environment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't even know this, but like, have you listened to like, what's that dude's name? It's that huge guy with the horse face, the motivational speaker. He's a super nice guy.
Anthony Robbins.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he cusses a lot.
His tickets,
He cusses a lot.
Yeah.
And and he's so obviously that's his whole thing. That's why you're there.
Right.
I don't think cussing will take people out.
I think it's the sincerity.
Absolutely.
And the being present.
If it's real and there's a reason for it.
Right.
It's the gratuitous vulgarity, the pussy jokes, the dick jokes that come, that are just.
I'll rewind my shot.
For the shock value.
I don't think those would even. There wouldn't be a place for that.
Yeah.
That's not what we're there for.
So that makes sense. It's like I don't want it to be. I don't see it being a corporate clean because we've got to be real and honest, and there's going to be language, and we're going to talk about stuff that's just real. And I think that's why last night when I woke up, I was like, I really got to address that of political correctness. You can't have it in there. I was like, you've all been there.
Yeah.
It's just like
yeah.
It's just like, I got to talk. I got to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got to fix it. How do I get?
I got to set this up at the beginning.
Right.
That these people don't hear something that's like, and they shut down. It's like, no, you need to leave all that shit outside, right? All your political correctness, all your little triggers, all your tender feelings, and all that, because we're talking about depression and suicide, and we're going to talk real honesty and openly. We're going to talk about racism, or we're going to talk about molestation and all these different things, and it's very real.
Addiction.
And addiction and recovery and
God.
Yeah, and God and
might
Jesus.
be mentioned.
Yeah,
And baby Jesus. We might mention
I was
baby
thinking
Jesus.
do I talk about that? If I tell you I'm Mormon, you're going to have all these prejudice. You're going to have all these things. You're going to think, your Jesus is better than mine.
Wait, you're Mormon?
I know.
Fuck this show.
Actually, they kicked me out because they have standards.
I'm about that black Jesus, homie.
Like the question, the meditation that we had talked about doing.
Yeah.
To talk about that, and for me to talk about, and for you to ask me that question, you mean like Black Jesus?
Right.
That's funny, and it's very real, and it's like, yeah. And some people might take offense at that, and I don't want...
Then they shouldn't be at the show.
Exactly, but they're there, and so I want them to be able to leave that outside, and that's really what I've been thinking about is, how do I start this off so that they can leave all that shit outside? We're just going to be very real, and we're going to talk about
I think a
stuff
recorded circus monologue.
Really?
We're going to talk about Jesus, the black one and the white one. Like...
I like that. I love that idea. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if there's a stick in your ass, if you have trigger words, if you're at the wrong show, please.
So here's one of the things I think a way to get into talking about political correctness is I have my little dove thing that I do. You see my little fake dove. And going, I don't really like stage magic because it's so gay. But I don't mean like gay now, but like old school gay. You didn't have to do something to be gay, right? When there was the kid, it's like, Robbie, he's so gay, yeah. I like how he flails his hands a lot. He's fun. You want to go play baseball, right? There's that. You got to give that stuff up. But that's going to take you out of this, conversation because he said the word gay, and it seemed like I'm offended by it.
I don't like him now. I do not like him.
I do not like him, and I don't want to listen to anything he has to say.
And that's not gay at all.
I think it should be a recorded thing.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think you should be...
Ladies and gentlemen, here's...
Yep. That's funny.
The recorded thing. I keep seeing as Darren Frazier's.
Oh yeah.
He's got the voice that comes on, and you're gonna see magic, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that, and it does. People listen. They're like, but it takes you out of the equation. You're not the rule setter. You're just one of the performers.
Yeah, you're not the face. You're not the.
Came out with like the.
You're not the VP.
Top hat and everything, and did it. Like a scripted.
I think we should all come in immediately after the voice, and we should come out crying. Just absolutely sobbing, hysterical, can't get it together. That's exactly.
I like it. And I'll just be tying a noose. Just getting them in.
I'll be putting bullets in the chambers.
You're so dark.
But so are the people who are going to get something out of this. If they can find a way to laugh at this,
Well, that's and like I said, there's those two people.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
people
then
who
don't
struggle
invite
with
them.
depression, and there's the people who don't necessarily struggle
Yeah.
with depression. And for them, it's harder to laugh, right?
You know what, though?
Last
Right?
time we sat
Just-
around this table.
Yeah.
we all cried.
I didn't cry.
Yeah,
You
we
did
all
too, you
cried.
pussy.
I was hard.
But the moment when I was
stayed
telling
hard.
you about my sister being pulled into the bedroom
Yeah.
to go have sex with my mom's pimp at 13,
Yeah.
and Steph says, "What's the matter? You weren't pretty enough." You all laughed.
She did not.
That's pretty funny, though.
You were jealous?
You know what? That was funny.
She was like, "Bitch, I never thought about that, but now that I do think about it, you're right."
Right. That was fucking gold.
That separates us.
So like,
Which is
I
weird.
was
Why
thinking about
aren't
this.
you depressed?
I was thinking about this, homie.
Why don't you suffer with
There's
depression?
another.
Been
There's
through
another
some
group,
shit.
right?
what's
There's
that?
another group.
It's weird.
Another group.
It's
There's
interesting.
another group of people that are technically part of the 1%, but they don't know. So there's people that are depressed and they know it or don't know it, but they deal with it, right? And we are kind of talking
They
to,
haven't recognized
and we're
it.
kind of talking to both of
I had
them.
one. I was like,
As we're talking to them throughout this thing, they're gonna start going,
That's me.
wait a minute. If I'm one or the other, then I'm the depressed one, right? And then there's the other people who are going to go, yup, my husband, my friend, my, whatever.
Right.
But then there's also another kind of person who's, let's say they're not depressed, and all of the people that are depressed around them are doing a really good job of keeping their shit together. Nobody in their immediate family, right? And the one person who is realizes that this is not the kind of family where that would be, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so there's people in that room
And this
who
family's not
don't
talking
know
about they're
that they
depressed.
love somebody who's depressed.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've realized that, like, usually that is the person who's offended. The premise that I'm either depressed or I know someone's depressed. No. Like, right off the bat, you lose them. And then when you say gay, and then when you say this, and then when you say that, they get offended. Because I usually find, like, if you say gay people go like this because you said their name. Like, every time you go black, I go, huh? Because, like, everybody wants to, what are you going to say?
If you see there's an obvious gay group in your show at the club, you know that you can do all the gay jokes you want.
Yep. Because they're going to laugh.
They're friends. The
And-
people that should be offended are never offended. It's
No.
the friends of
Who
the people
are
that should be.
afraid to have the conversation, and that is the enemy in our crowd. It's the people who, it's not the people who are depressed. That's who needs the help, most help, right? And it's not even just a support group and all the people around them, but it's the people who, like, maybe aren't depressed and maybe aren't in and they don't live in a family or in a culture, in a church. They don't. That's you're crazy. You're crazy if you even admit that you had this thought or you had that thought. And I've been in those situations where, man, I can pretend to like the best of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Since I'm
We're good at
pretending
that.
and you're actually doing it, I'm better at it than you, really.
Yeah.
You know? And so those are the people that end up getting offended because they're like, I don't even want to talk about gay stuff because, like, then I'm gonna lose. I don't want to talk about sex. I don't want to talk about molestation. I don't want to talk about racism. I don't want to, because as soon as you go into that places, suddenly that shield that they have is gonna just right.
Yeah.
And that's where they're like, let's stay away from those topics altogether.
But what I like is that it's already in the title. If they are gonna go to this,
Yeah.
they should probably.
And that's why I wanted this title
Wrap
to
their
be
head-
You said it was
disturbing.
mandated,
I wanted
right?
it to be a little disturbing.
It
And I
needs to
think
be.
that's
It needs to be.
I think that works.
I think it's gonna
That
bring
funny
out.
look,
They
that
won't bring out
depression.
that crowd. It's gonna bring out the crowd that's gonna be like, I want to hear what
I
this.
think there's
You
gonna
know?
be people there that are mandated to be there.
No, not the first show.
I think so. I think not at the first show, but I'm saying I think that there's gonna be people who got drugged to that show who are just like,
school teachers that or
or it's gonna be like their friend just bombed to that show and they're like, oh, we're gonna have this real talk about, whatever. And when you do that big intro in the beginning, address those people. Like address, like lay out. Not only tell like the like the trigger people to just get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also like explain the format, like the 1%, like as a 2 to 3 sentence like
This is
thesis statement.
1%. If it's not you, it's somebody next to you. And
Yeah.
if you don't know it, then you need to pull your head out. Right? Because it is. If it's not you struggling with depression, it's somebody next to you. There is no 6 degrees of separation. It's you or it's your neighbor. We have one of our gym members. She, we were talking to her about this, and she says, my 17-year-old niece committed suicide. She goes, I've struggled with depression for years and years and years. But I take medication, but I don't talk to my family about it. And she goes, my nightmare is that maybe
Ugh.
if I'd been honest and if I'd talked about it, that I struggle with this, that maybe she would have talked to me. But it was just too taboo. It's too taboo. You don't talk about it. You don't talk about it. I love what you said. We'll talk about things that other people won't talk about, and you said that's our superpower. Is that we'll talk about this shit. We're going to talk about this with 200 strangers. We're going to talk about the darkest, most intimate things about our lives, and we're going to do it with strangers, and we're all right with that. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So you better shut the fuck up and you sit down and listen.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this.
It's funny because it's like, it's funny because what's that? That's what I mean.
That's me.
I would have them think about that though. Which one are you? You know, and if you don't know which one you are, then you need to listen really closely.
So, you really need to
because you
listen.
probably are really fucked up, or you know someone who's really fucked
I
up.
gotta grab my notebook.
You know, or Asian.
This is exhausting.
What's
Friend that's in charge of all the schools, right? He goes, I've never been depressed. He goes, my whole life has been upbeat. My mom was that way. He goes, I just don't even know what it looks like. And so I was trying to describe it to him. I go, mine comes on like a cold.
Yes.
Like,
Totally.
I can feel it coming on a couple days before, right? And it's like, oh, I got a cold coming on. And then one morning you wake up and it's there. Sometimes you feel fine when you go to sleep. And you wake up and the cold's there. And it doesn't make any reason or any logic or anything behind it. I go, and it doesn't matter what's going on in my life. Everything could be shit, and I'm dealing with it fine, or everything could be wonderful, and it doesn't matter. But I can feel it on, and I don't like my meds because it takes my highs. For me, it takes my highs and my lows, and it does this. So I don't really get really super dark, but I really don't give a shit about anything either. And this area up here, this is creativity.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
This is where I work on new material. This is where I have my mind going all over the place. This is where I'm thinking of a million different things, is up in this area up here. And those depression meds do this with me. And yeah, so I don't get as suicidal, but I don't really
Live life.
I don't live life, and I'm not motivated, and I don't really, I got a gig coming up on Friday, you know? So.
Because I wonder, like, man, like,
They don't look like you.
suicidal is the opposite of where you want to be.
Yeah, that's all.
Right? It's the opposite side of the spectrum, right? But there has to be a level that's like higher than suicidal that's still too low.
It's tired. It was like just.
You know what I mean?
I don't sleep a lot.
There's like, this is what I'm saying. It's like, when you're suicidal, everybody in your whole environment needs to come to your aid and get you out of that place, right? Like suicidal is like the totally.
Is
But
your depression always?
no, mine very rarely is. Mine rarely is, and that's what I'm saying. Is like there's another place that's below. There's another place that's above suicide,
Above,
right?
not below.
Above suicide. That's not quite suicide. It's not quite an emergency, right?
Where it's like,
But it's still too fucking low
yes.
for you to accomplish anything. For you to say,
Yes.
"Oh, this was a positive day in your life." That anything, you know what I mean?
Pre-suicidal.
And I struggle very much. Sometimes accepting my depression and being like, look, some days are tough, buddy. And also excusing like, I didn't do shit today. Or I was a shit brother today.
Yeah.
Or I didn't get back to my mom today. Or
She always asks me,
like,
are you a good man?
Oh, that's sweet.
You know, can you tell me you're a good man? And I just, because I'm looking at the accumulation of all this shit I've done in my life.
Yeah.
Cheating on my wife and all this my ex-wife, all these things, and I was at this boot camp. I was in Utah. It's called A Warrior's Heart. And I had talked about that. I go, it's just hard for me to say I'm a good man. And this guy comes up to me. He goes, where are you today?
Mm.
I go, what? He goes, were you a good man today?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I was today. He goes, well, then you can tell her that. And so now when she asks me, she'll say, are you a good man? I go, yeah, I was today.
Today I am.
I was today. Today I am. You know, and that's all I got. That's all I got is today.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, it's true.
You gotta live in the. We have to learn how to live in the present.
In the moment.
In the moment. Depression is living in the past and just rapid thoughts about the past, and anxiety is
Worrying about the future.
Yeah, it's called what's it called?
Future fucking.
Catastrophizing. I forget, but you think everything is going to be terrible and everything can go wrong, and what we forget is what's right
here,
right now. And right now, this is good.
Yeah.
This is good. And what happened before right now isn't going to happen again because it already happened, and there's nothing you can do.
When I got sober, I had to learn, that I'm no longer. Once I made the decision to become sober and to stay sober, I had to make the clear decision that I'm no longer my past addictions. I'm no longer my parents' fights. I'm no longer lost fights. I'm no longer any of that stuff. I'm everything that I choose to be as of now. So now, all the choices I make are who I am and represent me, because that's, like you said, I'm a good man today. Today,
that's how recovery is. Today I'm sober.
Today I'm sober. Today I'm fine. Today I'm good. I don't got to worry about tomorrow. And when tomorrow gets here, I'm probably going to do the same thing and be the same dude and be good. Or be healthy. Yeah. Now, I got to stop saying good and bad.
Yes.
So it's like, it's healthy and unhealthy. Because there's healthy choices and there's unhealthy choices. For me,
It doesn't define whether you're a good man or not.
Yeah.
So why did you have to become sober? What brought you to there?
My life was unmanageable. I couldn't manage it. I couldn't do the things I like doing anymore. I would call into gigs. I wouldn't show up to things. I would just get drunk. I would low morals. You leave the room. I'm trying to do all your drugs and fuck your girl before you get back. Like
worked.
What you got? I was stressing when that little blue hair boy came out. I was like, hopefully he's blue hair. I was like, okay. And then yeah, so I had to do that, and it's a practice principle though to keep doing the living in the present, because it's a hard thing to do.
So hard.
But that's great, because if it was easy,
you guys find that to be hard?
So hard
to be living in the present.
Yep.
To forgive yourself constantly, or to just be like here, as opposed to being in the past. And on top of that, when you think about the past, let's remember that it's your version of the past. And your version of the past always
is correct.
Makes you the victim. And you're always pity partying yourself. Poor me, poor me. And I know how to cater a pity party. I know how to cater one. I do it all the time.
But what does that mean? I mean, we are all on the present. But when you say not being in the present, it's like you're normally thinking about the past or the future.
Or the future.
Or the future, yeah.
Yep.
Or
is that true for all you guys?
Yeah. So it's like you get...
Okay.
You're not here sometimes. You can even be...
I don't sense that. For me, that's not the way it is for me at all. In fact, I feel very lonely being here in the present.
You feel right now?
Usually in life, my anxiety is from watching people all around me be somewhere other than here. And be thinking about other things other than here, and it makes me anxious.
But that's you in your head thinking that.
Sure.
That's not them. So you're not even in the present. You're somewhere else. You're not.
No. I'm connecting to the people. I guess so.
Because I know this is like, I have to deal with this too all the time. So it's none of your business what other people are thinking. So therefore, you should never be concerned about what other people are doing or what they're thinking, because now you're not in the present. Now you're assuming everybody else's life and your story that you belong in there. They're not thinking. You're this small. No one's ever waking up.
No, I'm not assuming anything, because I never have an answer.
But you're saying that
I have questions.
You have questions.
I'm in the present.
Why are you questioning?
Because why is that car blue? Why is this hard as? Why is this building? Why did I get here? Why am I with this person? And I'm in the moment answering the questions as I'm.
No, you're not.
You're not in the moment.
I'm not. Then I'm not describing it correctly.
No, I think
that's the weed.
And I'm not describing it correctly.
No, I think you're describing anxiety.
Exact.
And exactly what goes on in our heads as well. Mm-hmm. And
But you describe it as a tense.
No.
And to me, the anxiety is in the present tense. You see what I mean? I'm not like...
That's because what you're feeding your brain. You're feeding your brain only knows present. There's no room for past or future ever to belong in one moment in the present. So whatever you feed your brain is what it's thinking is happening now.
Sure.
So you're feeding it thoughts of the future, and it's like, oh fuck, we're fucking up right now. We're fucking. Whoa. Why is this? Why? But it's like you're not even looking at like, hey, I'm here sitting down, relaxing, chilling out, having a good time. Yeah,
right now everything's good.
Everything's good.
You're
I'm
with friends and you're
eating
in a
a bowl
good
of
place.
soup.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love the soup.
So you guys are just doing something, and I'm doing a lot of amens, hallelujahs, because I'm like, I do understand, and I do kind of feel that. But all three of you guys seemed very, very like, oh, I totally understand this, like being in the past.
Have you done therapy?
Yes.
Have you worked on your anxiety and depression, and have you worked on being in the moment?
And that's what I'm telling you. I constantly feel like I'm in the moment.
But if
being in the moment is not
how many things are you thinking about, and what song's playing in your head right now?
But that's constantly.
But that's the problem.
Yeah, that's why you're not in the
Okay,
present.
and so the question I'm asking you, instead of asking for a solution to my problem, I'm not asking for a solution to my problem. I'm more asking you, what did you mean when you say that you're in the present or you're in the future? Because that's what I'm trying to tell you is that my experience, as I experience, might be your experience for sure. But I don't experience
the
it.
same vernacular.
I would never describe my anxiety as having as being because I'm worried about something that's in the future or lamenting something that happened in my past. My anxiety is like
Those two words don't even worried and lamenting. Those don't even have to be the words that you need to describe being in anxiety or being in depression. Those are just filler words for certain types of things. What you're talking about isn't like I said, future fucking yourself or where you're worried about something. Your thing is just very like not here. You're just not here.
My anxiety comes from being here all the fucking time and right here, right now. This person's making me uncomfortable. I need to make this stop. Right here, right now. I am sad. Right here, right now. And I feel like in the moment, I feel anxiety and I feel whatever. And then as soon as I remove myself from that situation, I never regret it. I never look back and go, blah, blah, blah. I'm never worried about the future. But like in my present moment, I do feel attacked and I do feel too much happening at a time. And that can lead the anxiety to take over to the point where 3 weeks later, I wake up and go, how did I get here? And that's what I'm telling you is like I don't understand like what you guys all agreed on the tense of it. Like
okay,
something.
Everyone's different around this table. You don't have to agree with them.
I want to understand it. What you even meant.
Let me tell you, we've done that type of work, so we've been given those types of tools to understand and identify. And what you're saying is exactly what goes on in our heads as well. But we've just gone through, like we've done an extra step. You just haven't.
But what step is the step?
Just fucked up. There's no hope for you.
But what is this step of this work that I have yet to do?
Well, this is the second time we've hung out with you, and you've said that you get all fucking wound up, and then you forget where you were at. Like 3 weeks later, you don't remember anything.
Sure.
That should probably be talked about somewhere.
It's a mechanism.
Someone professional.
Yeah, no, I did about a year and a half ago, and she was like, "That's depression," and we talked about it. And now I don't. Now I wake up every day, and I do a check with myself, and I make sure that I'm, blah 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 blah. But even
you alone can't.
But think about that's what I'm trying to explain to you is okay. Think about this. I'm in a moment. I'm super anxious. The next moment, I'm waking up. So for me, as I experienced it was all present.
You disassociate.
Tense. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm telling you. So I never think about it in the past, and that give me beef. Or I never worry about my future, and that give me beef.
I didn't either. He didn't either. And then we got help where it was not just a therapy session or a couple days or a couple months. It was like years.
I went to 2 years of therapy. I'm currently in therapy.
Me too. Okay. And do they tell you how to recognize what an anxious thought is thinking about the future? It's thinking about things that haven't happened yet. So that's anxiety. And that's how I can go, oh, I'm having anxiety right now. Depression is like, fuck, remember back when I was 17 and all this, my mom kicked me out, and I fucking hate her for that, and blah, blah, blah. But, okay.
So yours is dealing with the moments.
The moment.
As they come.
Yours is right now.
Yes.
It's like, this is making me uncomfortable, and I don't like this, and I need to get out.
I don't even really have access to the time. Even when I'm
that's the feeling.
Present and happy and cool, my brain doesn't collect things. And like, if you ask me, what did I do last Thursday? And I was cool. I was having a great, happy Thursday. My brain doesn't, like, I don't do time doesn't fit into my head like in this this happened before this happened because of that. So my brain keeps track of like what happened before and after, but I don't feel anxious about I don't feel anxious about having to go to that place.
You just sound like you sound like you're constantly trying to fit in all the time.
am.
All the time.
That's exhausting.
To the
That's
point
gotta be
where
exhausting.
Yes.
And we get back to the Black Ellis,
because
the
I'm
Puerto Rican Ellis, and
because I'm in the moment,
right.
And I don't know how to
you don't
feel.
want to be left out. You don't want to be the odd person out. So you're constantly trying to fit in. And then so if you're not understanding what every page everyone's on, you're like, oh fuck, where'd I get lost at? Why
You
did
didn't
I
get lost anywhere. You didn't get lost. You're not lost anywhere.
And so it's like you're constantly on this whole like. You're like, okay, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still on base. I'm still. Are we all here together? We're all here together. Okay. Oh fuck. Wait. You guys aren't. No one is. Fuck. Okay. I'm alone again. Fuck.
Wow.
I hate everybody right now. You know what? I'm just gonna go, you guys. I'm just gonna go because
I've
you guys
seen
are having
you
a good
do
time.
that.
And
We've all
that's
seen you do
totally
that.
right.
That's totally you.
But that's all present tense.
Yeah.
Understood.
but no, it's you're not in the present. You're assuming that what is the present and the future. You're assuming what everyone else is doing and everyone's thinking. You're playing the director. And then when when all the actors aren't doing what you want them to do, you're like, why aren't you doing? You know what? Fuck it. If you guys want to run this show, you guys go ahead and run this show.
Yeah.
You know, matter of fact, or it's
Then
not even
that's what
anger.
you're saying. Then it assumes I want anybody to do anything.
You want to fit in, so you want to
fit
feel.
in. You want everything to be.
So you want everything to be chill. So you want everyone to have a good time. You want everyone to be fucking
You're the default guy on the video game,
Yeah, I am that guy.
But it's
right? That fits into every.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. That's not what me and my counselor talked about.
You know what? You said it in your show, so that's more real.
Yeah. But also too, we're good at manipulating and we're good at getting the feedback we want to hear.
Totally.
So it's like when we do,
Totally.
yeah. So we all like to fancy ourselves very intelligent. So it's like I'll just manipulate this dude into telling me how I want to hear, what I want to feel, because that's pretty much what psychiatry is. Because I'm paying.
And then
this
later
guy.
on, we're like, oh, no one likes me because I'm always manipulating them.
Yeah. I had to stop, man. I had to stop having an agenda and having things that I wanted people to do, and had to understand, hey, I just can't deal with people.
So that being said, we do need an agenda.
Yeah. With this.
Yeah. Let me finish reading real quick. Just my friends, the doctor, because
Yeah.
these things were very.
I think you're going through the same thing that we all go through. I just think that
Yeah.
you're labeling it differently, and that's
And
totally okay.
I used to drink in social settings, so I didn't have that go on.
I just talk. I don't
So
shut up.
Yeah.
Here's something that bugs me. My doctor friend, also my psychiatrist nephew, say the same thing. Depression meds don't make you into a zombie. And my experience and everybody I've talked to says bullshit.
Yeah.
There are some that do.
Some do.
Right?
Yeah.
But then again, think about our brains are probably wired differently than a normal person's
Right,
brains who would
right.
take a Sudafed and be super spazzy
Right.
and high, and I take it and I'm like, oh, this is.
So here's his last
You know?
last three things. Depression is a real disease. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just in your head. It is every bit as real as cancer, hypertension, infection, or heart disease. That's the hard one for people to buy.
That's hard for me to buy.
Right?
That it's
Yeah,
what?
when you suffer from it.
It is
And
a
I suffer
real
from it, yeah.
disease. It is not
Like-
just in your head. It's every bit as real as cancer, hypertension, infection, or heart disease.
So
So that
telecancer,
one's as hard for you to buy?
that's hard for me to buy.
Yeah, that it's like I just
Like
feel no,
telecancer,
it's
tell
just-
tell someone who loves someone who's suffering from cancer, like, oh yeah, I understand, I have depression. Like, they'd switch me any fucking minute.
Yeah.
It's not. It's I don't. I'm not saying it's
I mean,
not a disease.
real,
it's
but
different.
It's hard for us.
I guess it's
hard to-
paralyzing. Maybe that's the only reason why they could say like
It can be.
certain different depression is paralyzing.
Well, and I think his point is, as a doctor, he sees that it is a real. It's not something that's just a mood that's just going to go away.
It's not a fad,
No, it's not a fad. It's not a phase of your life.
right? It's real.
And he's saying it's as
remember-
real, not
It's
as
as real.
serious.
I remember
Right.
that.
That's what
Oh,
I
it
need
is.
to remember.
It's
It's
as
as
real.
real, not as serious.
I remember when
It's
Darius
real.
Monday was like, I told Darius,
It's
I go,
important and it's urgent, right? It's as important.
I have depression, man. I'm just been depressed a lot lately. And Darius is like, man, only white people get that shit. And I was like, right. And then I seen
Only
Darius.
white people talk about it.
Yeah,
Right.
and then I seen Darius like 2 years later, and he goes, "Hey man, I want to apologize."
Aw.
He goes, "I got some depression." He goes, "I got some of that. What you
You
had?"
tell me he's a liar.
I should have.
So here's this fifth one. People with substance abuse are far more likely to have depression.
Because we self-medicate.
And then
Identify abuse. What's abuse of substance?
Substance abuse. Well, abuse as an addict.
I get it.
Would be when
Yeah.
it becomes uncontrollable. When it makes an effect on your life and you're not able to stop it.
Well, I think also too, for me, like this is just for me. This is my
Yeah.
feeling, and feeling and emotion isn't true, isn't fact. But I feel like when you do use something that isn't prescribed to ease the pain or to forget or to not have, to be
Right.
upset,
To not-
I feel that's abuse.
Yeah.
Because you're not staying, you're not
getting
dealing
the
with
issue.
it.
Yeah.
You're not. So you're not in the present. You're not in the moment. So
Yeah.
and then so it's like. Because I would always hear this like, oh man, I had a rough day, man. Oh, I just fucking can't stand. I just want to drink, so I just fucking slam. And it's like, hey man, well, it's because you had a rough day. Why don't you just decompress real quick? You're supposed to drink to
Right.
have fun and be merry, you know,
Right,
and like
right,
and for
right,
a special social occasion.
Why don't you do some meditation or
Yeah.
do something to get your head out of there before you? Yeah.
Before you do it, those are because that's what I have to do now. I can't when I get upset and I can't drink anymore. So what do I got to do? I got to take little mini vacations, and my little
So
mini
do you
vacations.
do meditation?
Yeah,
Your
meditation.
vacations? What's your meditation look like? Is it naked at all?
No, it's not naked.
Well, then
No.
I don't wanna know about it.
I have like I have 3 ways of meditation. I drive. I'll either drive or I'll run or I'll keep everything quiet. I'll try to keep everything quiet. And I always the keeping the thing quiet takes longer than the driving and the
So if you need
and the
a
running.
quick fix.
Yeah, I'll go run. I'll try to go run, and I'll run for like at least 15-20 minutes. And
Steph, do you have meditation stuff that you do, or something where you do like a self hypnosis, or something where you get your head out of where you're at?
praying. I also pray.
I'm working on it. No.
No?
I mean, I guess, like, instead of freaking out on my family, which is what I used to probably do a lot, I did do a lot. I'm getting better about asking that I need time. I
need a
need
break.
time. I need a break.
Yeah.
I need to be alone.
Give me 15
if you give me a couple hours alone a week, where, like, I literally don't have to do anything but just sit and maybe watch a dead show. Like, just a...
Somewhere you can disconnect. Yeah.
Yeah, my alone time makes me fills me back up. But too much alone time puts me in the hospital.
I did that 2 weeks ago.
There's
2
a
weeks
very,
ago.
very
I got
fine
the road.
line.
I got the road, and I was like, I'm doing nothing for a day or two, and I did nothing for 2 days,
And that's too much.
3 days.
and then I go
And then-
3 days, and then all of a sudden, before I know it, I was like, I've been in this room for 3.5 days, and then in my mind I go, I've been by myself for 5 days because I drove on the road by
Right.
myself for 2 days
Right.
already, and I go, oh shit, like I don't want to do anything. I have no desire to even get out of this room. I had to make myself get out of the room, and then I went to a meeting. I had to go. I was like, let me go to a meeting and be around friends.
Do
And,
you
good.
find meetings to be spiritually uplifting?
Yeah.
A spiritual event? Yeah.
yeah, some of them aren't, but then like I find places,
Yeah.
find ones that are, and I
Yeah.
was like, because you know you gravitate to what is good, what is healthy to you. So it's like I'll do that now. So I have a group of cats that I get with, and then on top of that, too, working with other cats too. That's another thing. When I start getting too much in my head,
You get out of it and get in somebody else's.
then I'm like, yo, man, what's your problem? What's your issue? Because it's like as soon as I
It's like
feel
it's the gym. If I have one of these, I feel that cold coming on, and there's times where I'll tell Victoria, tomorrow morning. It's just I can tell tomorrow morning. So let me open the gym.
Yeah, you've told me that before. Because if you had
Let
that
me be there.
afternoon,
Let me be there at 6 in the morning
Yeah.
until 10 o'clock, and I know if I can get there at 6 in the morning, that I can't go. I can't be depressed in there for more than 15 or 20 minutes. Because then I'm out of my head and I'm helping other people, and you get out of your own junk.
Yeah.
And I gotta have, and I can feel that coming
Yeah.
out. It's like, let me open and get that out in the morning, and then I'll be good the rest of the day.
but you've told me if you have an afternoon,
Yeah,
and you know you have an afternoon and you're feeling it,
it's like I don't have to be to the gym. Like sometimes I don't have to be there till 3:30.
that's terrible for you. Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, it's Victoria. And yeah, sometimes it's like, fuck, I don't have to be there till 3:30. That means I've got from now until 3:30 to get this.
I think the most
to not step in front of the train.
heartbreaking thing for me, and probably for you too, that you're learning now in your marriage, is when he wants to help and you just see like they're trying and you're so disassociated from them. It's like you almost have zero feelings.
You can't fix it
And
for me. Yeah.
You can't fix it. I need you to be here in my misery. You know what I mean? But I also need you to leave me alone. But only for 45 minutes. And you have to fucking be back here.
yeah, get your ass back.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It
And I
is.
think that's
It
a
is.
big thing that we have to address is that how do we talk to the people that love people that
Yeah.
struggle with
Also,
depression?
I
how do
would-
we talk to people like your girlfriend that doesn't want to talk about it or doesn't want to? How do we talk?
But kills
to,
turtles.
Tortoise.
Like Victoria. Victoria's talk. She goes, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know what to do when you're. And it's like, just don't make it worse. and love me through it like I've got a cold. I could touch. Even though I'm not going to be warm and cuddly, but I still need that. I still need you to sit next to me on the couch and to touch me and to rub my back.
It's
or
not
my feet.
contagious.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
And it's hard to.
I'm afraid to get in relationships because of it.
Because you don't know how that they'll be able to handle your
And deal with it, and then I feel like a burden. I feel like
Right.
Yes.
'cause
You're
I-
not worth it.
Yeah.
You're not worth it.
Yeah, because I'm
I
sorry.
f-
Yeah,
I totally feel like a
You're not
burden
worth it.
because I'm
all
like,
the time.
I'm like, oh man, I'm supposed to be like, that's not cool.
I'm like, you should have had a happy wife that like wasn't dramatic, but you have me. We have really high highs.
I broke up with girls, man,
So-
because of it.
So format, we're all going to come out and do 7 minutes. Well, I'm going to host it, so I'll do 5 or 6, 5 minutes up front.
25.
Do my, do my announcement.
Yes.
We'll each do 7 minutes or so, and then we come back out on bar stools. So do you guys, I'd like to have you write those setup questions, right? Because you've got
What do you wanna
material
talk about?
about this. You've got material about the turtle. And so what are I hate
Tortoise.
using Comics Unleashed because it's kind of a lame show. But it's that same premise that I want some questions that I can use to lead in.
He's making money, man.
Right, I want those questions that you asked me. What did you think it was before that? I want those things to come out. So I want you to think about what things you want to have come out that you want to talk about, and what are those lead-in questions.
Right.
And it won't be, and those questions are going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be because everybody has a response to all of those. So how should we wrap it all up?
Questions from the audience.
And then what's our take at the end of it?
Well, how do you deal?
And then
'Cause, like,
we blow our brains off,
Somebody-
out. Like
we
one of
actually-
us.
Just a video of like suicide.
Oh yeah. There's
So bad.
I'm
I'm
But
gonna
if we
cut
just
all
have
that
like a
shit.
little puppet or something, we just hang it by the rope and go, "Hey,
Yeah.
don't let that happen."
no.
Or like you're fiddling with like the razor blades. You just kind of.
We're just spitballing. Don't turn
Yeah.
down ideas.
Yeah,
At this
don't-
point,
wait till we have the
let the creativity
final.
flow.
This is
Something.
the creative part.
Should we have
Nope.
people in white jackets come out and take us back? Okay, guys, come back. Remember when Tommy T? At Tommy T's in Pleasanton,
Were
where
you
they
gonna
have
do
this.
that fifth seat that was going to be empty?
I don't know.
Oh,
We talked
sorry.
about having
I didn't wanna forget
a
about
bar
it.
No, that's
stool
good.
and a mic stand with nobody there. I don't know.
For the person that
Right.
did talk about
For
it.
people that aren't there.
maybe
people
that's
that
how we end
didn't
it,
make
with the bar stool and that microphone and like a screen that says, "If you're suffering,
So one of the
da-da-da,
things
call."
is that I
phone
really
number.
want to pull across. We don't want to do the show one time. That we want this to be a thing. We want it to go out, and so here's how you can help. Help us to make. To make this into something. Teachers groups, students, anything that you can think of where we can take this show and.
That's kind of sappy. But
Really fuck up teenagers.
It is sappy,
Like,
but I
really
think.
just-
No.
Yeah.
Your idea was great.
Yeah.
What I'm about to say is kind of sappy, but
That's right.
God.
it is. It
can
is
edit.
like the most important people in the room are going to be the people that we are talking to.
Yeah.
And those are the people with depression, the people dealing with people that have depression, right? And that seat. You remember when you said you were going to have that seat? I just thought that was a great idea because it's the one person that the reason we're all here.
And-
Because it's
yeah,
like,
and they wouldn't
if
come.
those
Yeah.
people, you people in this room, if you don't talk to the people to the left and the right of you who may or may not also have depression, and if you people who don't have depression can't have an empathetic ear and for the people around you, you end up being this person. Everybody in this room, do you know this person? Do you know this person? You ended on the one person we didn't talk about all night. Let's have
The
a
NPC,
moment of
the
silence for
NPC.
them, right? And then everybody has a moment of silence, and we go.
All right.
God bless. And everybody, I think you started off hella funny, and you goofed around, and then we came up, and by the 5th or 6th show, hopefully,
Yeah.
this thing is a well-oiled
yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
Because we're a bunch of pros, and after a while, it starts getting to this, and after a while, the audience questions start to be the same.
Right, and we know the answers.
That's a
and
really,
yeah.
to me, it's kind of sappy, but it's a really powerful ending. It's like, if you don't get help, if you don't help your fellow man,
Yeah.
you know, like it's like it's a somber moment, but then you
Reminder.
didn't come to a comedy show and it was great and it was entertaining. But there was
You-
at
there's a
least
takeaway. There's
if
gotta
you
be a
didn't
takeaway.
get one,
Yeah.
If you didn't get one, if you're the one person, if you're the person that's not depressed, and you kind of don't know anybody, that's that person I was talking about that kind of doesn't know that somebody, they know somebody who's
if
depressed.
You don't know that you know somebody.
It's you.
Now it's like this is a call to arms. Like you do
know somebody.
You do.
You do.
And it almost takes away the person that's triggered too, because they're like, oh wow, this is actually bigger than my
A friend of mine, he's a therapist. This boot camp that I went to a couple weeks ago. He's a he's known around. He's a very well-known therapist around the country. And I told him about the show that we're doing. He goes, you know who's depressed? The happy receptionist. And I go, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, it's the lady and stuff. Hey, how are you? It's great you guys. He goes, yeah, it's always them. It's always them. He's this incredible therapist.
They put
he has
out.
books and he has a whole program, addiction recovery program that he wrote.
Like,
and his son committed suicide 2 years ago. Right?
Wow.
Here's the guy who's supposed to know it all, and his son committed suicide. And that was his perspective. The happy receptionist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was his son a receptionist?
I love this idea that Steph came up with the big circus, big announcer kind of a thing.
I think
and
it'll cut the
love,
tension.
and I double love her idea that it shouldn't be you.
What if we have like a circus clown?
Have Steve Barkley do his voice.
Little person.
It's called a little person.
They can have come out and do
You know what? If you're gonna be offended by midge, you need to get the fuck out of here.
they're suicidal midgets. They don't know. They can't be by chairs or nothing.
And one of us is bound to have a breakdown at some point, so this will be good
Or it gets
for.
emotional and it's
Yeah, man.
It'll be good.
I remember the first time I thought about suicide. I mean, well, not the first time I thought about suicide, but the first time that it didn't sound like a bad idea. You know, because I've had it before, and then all of a sudden I was like, you know what, that doesn't. Yeah, I wasn't scared of it, and then all of a sudden I sat in there for a minute, and then I was like, well, that's kind of scary because I'm okay with this right now, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I definitely need help. So then I went to Kaiser. And then Kaiser had that.
But of course, bro, you're a Marine. Didn't even phase you. You were this. You were bright. You were this. And because that's where I was. And there's other times where everything in life should be going great and should be awesome, and I'm just not. And there's a certain thing of like,
there's some wiring that's.
I didn't start smoking weed till I was 30, 31, and there's something very concrete that I can't. If it doesn't make sense to people, or if you think it's abuse, then I'm not explaining it right.
Right.
But it makes me just dumb enough to not be nervous that I'm always in the present. Like it doesn't make me it doesn't like it gets me right here. You know what I'm saying?
And the way that
there's something wrong with my chemicals, not wrong with my past.
No, but the way that
I've accepted who I am and who my
the way he's
That's why I
saying
love
it,
the
yeah.
table, because your depression is different than theirs.
Everybody's.
And so when people try to fix you into their box, doesn't make any sense.
And I wasn't mad at, but I abandoned it after a while because what I was so interested in is every time you make one of those jokes, I laugh because I'm like, yeah, right? And all three of you guys had this one thought where you guys were like on this roll and you left me for a second. And I was like, what does that mean? What is this present tense?
It's not the same for
because
you.
it wasn't the same, and I was
And that's
interested.
why there's
And then you guys were
44
like,
people at the table.
and actually you were, but you guys were trying to help me by being like, no, dude, you're a step behind. Like if you did this work or you did that work, you would see this or that. And I just think like I do think this would be important lessons for us to go like. We need to always make sure we're talking about our depression and our experience and what's worked for us, and not telling a person in the audience because I do love all of you. I actually do love all of you, and I saw that's exactly what you were doing, and I saw my brain going, no, explain to me this particular mental aspect of presence and intense as it pertains to depression, and you guys were like. And you thought I wasn't listening to you, and then I saw that happening, and I was like, what if I was not comic me that actually knows you and has a past and a history with you? What if I'm weird fucking Ellis overactive guy in the audience who now is like being told
you're not normal?
Oh, I would never do that to them though. I wouldn't even talk to them. That's scary. I felt safe
talking
pushing it.
And I said exactly what, what
Thank you for saying it also, by the way. Please don't make it seem like I can keep doing that.
I felt safe pushing the envelope because I felt like you were really actually working on something.
Right.
And if it was Joe Schmo, I'd wouldn't. I'm not a therapist. I don't know them.
Yeah.
Right.
And they don't know me.
So I don't.
But I
You
want
don't blame. You don't blame your childhood. You don't blame your history on that. It's actually something fucked up in your brain. That there's and I feel the same way. I went through a sexual addiction recovery program, and it's 3 phases. The first phase is about addiction, and it doesn't matter what kind of addiction you have. The same cycles. The second phase is dealing with your addiction. The third phase, they go into what is it that you're trying to medicate? What's the pain that you're trying to medicate with? Drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is, and I couldn't figure it out. And really, when you asked me that question, what did you think it was? Right?
Yep.
What did you think it was before? And I thought, I just thought I was a bad person. That's
Right.
how you're supposed to feel. And
I felt bad because I am
I
bad.
think it's. I didn't have I don't have any bad memories
Yeah.
of my childhood.
And that-
I had a great childhood, and my dad was a dick sometimes, and my mom was, but
And dude,
not to
I-
the point where
I connected
I
that.
wasn't molested. I
Yeah.
wasn't, and I think I just have. There's something fucked up in my brain where my brain goes right to here, and it's not supposed to.
And
then
if I'm on
it's just-
stage,
it just
yeah.
is. It
and
just
if,
is.
And if I'm
It
on
has nothing to do
stage
with my
or in the middle of a
childhood.
desert somewhere with a bunch of other guys with them 16A2 service rifles, that's
Yeah.
cool. It's good to be paranoid. It's good to be constantly present. It's
Yeah.
good to be a little bit
Right.
rough around the
It's
edges.
right.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's if you're in a Latin family, it's good to be loud. It's good to be whatever. It's good to be those things. And so no one was correcting the behavior.
You're Latin, too.
So why would I think it was wrong?
Yeah,
I got all
I
kinds
know.
of problems.
I know.
So I was like, I just.
And I think that's my friend that's the doctor, that's what it comes down to is when he says it's like hypertension, it's like cancer. There's something that is biologically, when you have diabetes,
Yeah.
something chemically is off in your body.
Right.
And you have to take medicine to you have to address that chemical imbalance to make it work. And I think the same thing. I think when I look at my depression, I don't think it was, I can't find something in my childhood or my past that would have made that happen or would have triggered it or being molested or and I think it really is just that there is something that is just chemically off.
Yeah.
And there's ways I can deal with it through medications.
Right.
Or there's other ways
But that's frustrating, right? Because
there's other ways,
I do have kind of a fucked up childhood, and I was like, it's got to be this, but no.
with or without that childhood,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it would still be.
It just, it's just like,
is.
it just is.
It's also a
It is.
contributing factor, though. It's a big contributing
Because I
factor.
think that was on the list. If you had a fucked up, if you were molested or whatever, you're
Right.
more likely to suffer from depression.
It does increase it.
If you
yeah.
had a fucked up childhood, you're more likely to suffer from depression. Like, so it's just kind of the same in that
It's a
same
contributing
environment.
factor.
Like, so everything going for you just have it. Where somebody else could have been like borderline, and since they never were,
and that pushed it.
right.
Yeah.
Because I would feel actually more than anything, I'd say after I turned about 7, once I got adopted, my life has just been one lucky finding comedy, finding this group,
Yeah.
making the friends I've made, joining the Marine Corps. These were all stupid decisions I make when I was young that put me into structure and put me around people that gave me ideas.
With or without those, the depression is still it's its own thing.
And was my own journey discovering it, because I didn't know I had depression until I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it became clear to me, I was like, that fucking explains a lot,
So, do you have meditation things you do, Steph?
Other than
No, not really.
masturbation.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I'm married.
I don't think that's considered meditation. Yeah, because we do. Ellis and I were talking about. We have our own. Are you comfortable when we do the show talking about that? What you do
Yeah.
for meditation? Yeah. Okay. Me too.
Yeah,
I've been
no worries.
finding a lot of it's weird because I fight with this in my brain.
Right.
But
That
I've been
self-talk and the
yeah, but I've been finding a lot of help with edibles where just a couple milligrams
just a little bit.
takes me to a place where my favorite thing to do is to lay next to my husband on the couch and show him all the things I've saved from Reddit and from Fuckface here. Rich doesn't have any social media whatsoever. And so I'll be like, oh my God, Carlos was on one today. Oh my gosh. And we go through and I've saved all the stuff I want to share with him.
Yeah.
And it usually opens up into a conversation. And then he knows if I have a therapist. I go to a therapist. I should meditate. I should work out. When I was working out, my head was much clearer. But you guys saw me on a weekly basis. There were times where it was so fucking hard
I know. You would just
To
come
just
in with
show
your
up.
head barreled down. And,
Yeah, and those days are harder now because I don't have an outlet. I just need to start.
Anytime.
I
Just
know.
come in. I don't care if you have a membership. I don't care if you have pay us money.
I'm
come
just
in. If you just need to come in and
the
post shit.
I have seasonal depression, so I can't really talk about it right now.
I'll call you in January.
Yeah, in January I'm going to be
January,
on it.
yeah.
But actually, and I was telling you, this is the first year that I can remember where I'm actually
You're all right with the
above the
holidays.
water.
Yeah.
I'm actually above the water this holiday season, and usually by now I am fucking drowning. I cannot wait for it to be over.
Yeah.
And right now I'm like, I've actually done some shopping already, so that anxiety's a little bit lifted, and my Christmas cards are done. We did them in November. I can't tell you guys how huge that is. Like, that's huge.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Pressure.
You'll love it.
We're going to her kid's house with her ex.
Oh, I thought you meant my
Her ex-husband.
Christmas. I thought you meant my Christmas
Right.
card.
And then I go to Utah where all my family's together except for me. And so I'll be like in a hotel room and have my kids come visit.
You can't go to the house. You can't go there.
I saw a movie about this on
invited.
Netflix. It was horrible, man.
It's my life.
But you know what?
So
you know what?
It's like that anxiety. It's like something that hasn't happened yet, and it's just that anxiety of they're all going to be having this big happy family reunion except for me because you're not worthy. You know,
No.
you can't be there.
And
You have
I'm
to
the
sit to be
daughter-
there with.
I'm
And
a daughter whose
you're gonna
dad
go stay at a
wouldn't
friend's
show
house
up.
or in a
You gotta be
hotel room.
depressed just
all
filming
day.
this shit.
It's interesting because you say that, and I'm like, the first thing that went through my head is, oh my god, how cute! He's gonna do it. He's gonna show up. That is so
No, not at
fucking
the
rad.
house, I won't.
It doesn't matter. You're gonna show up. You're gonna be there.
I've got a granddaughter I haven't met.
My dad has
6 months
grandkids
old.
that are fucking 30 minutes from him that he doesn't come see at all ever. So
So I have to go.
perception.
I have to go.
What he
I
was
have
saying
to see
earlier,
the kids.
perception.
Yeah.
Your perception and my perception were on polar opposites just now. I'm so proud of you for going to Utah. I don't care where you stay. That's true. That's true. Don't drive off the road. It's not worth it. I'm so proud of you for going and showing up because as a daughter, that would be my Christmas gift.
Yeah.
And I would bail on my family to go fucking hang out with my dad.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy love. That's how it should be. And the fact that you're going to go spend any time with her ex-husband, that shows that you come a long way. If you guys are actually going to fucking celebrate together, that's amazing. You have to give yourselves those little pats on the back. I don't give them to myself
That's some white people
ever,
say at home.
but I'm really good at telling other people how to give them. No, that's awesome.
All right.
Being an
So,
adult
I
fucking
was-
sucks.
So we can't kill ourselves before January 10th.
10th. I know.
Oh, the show's
Seriously, I said this to Ellis.
at Laughs.
Yeah, it laughs. January 10th, it laughs. I said this to Ellis. Have you ever had like a Wednesday where you want to die, and then you think, "Oh, I got a gig on Friday. Yeah, I can't do today. I got a gig on Friday. I can't."
I didn't have those days
Right?
where I never would have done it.
Yeah.
But I
You
did have those days where I'm like, fuck, if I just like did one of these, maybe I'd get like 2 weeks in the hospital.
I gotta
Maybe
say-
I'd get a coma for like a month. And that would make me feel rested, and
I'm
then
in
I'd feel
Reno.
good.
You're in Reno on the
I'm in
10th.
Reno on the 10th. Yeah, I got the weekend with Wayne, Little Wayne.
Can you just push it to the 17th? Can you push it to like 1 or 2 weeks ahead? It'll also give us a lot more time to advertise. You don't want to advertise this depression show the week before Christmas, or the week of Christmas. Do you want maybe want to go like a week ahead?
No,
Do it on Valentine's Day. I mean,
Yeah, that's not actually a bad idea. A lot of people
that
are
was the
sad.
soonest date Jenny had. I could talk to her and see if she has this. So with the 17th.
I mean, if that's the soonest, maybe she has a week later.
Are you feeling depressed?
Oh my gosh, do the voice,
Do you need a comedy show
and then
to live for?
Hi. Are you feeling?
thanks for coming.
Thanks for calling Suicide Hotline. You need tickets to the new.
And at the end, you should go.
Okay.
Reactions from this might include, and then give the whole list of shit that might happen. You know how they do it on the prescription commercials?
Oh yeah.
This
Side
might,
effects, maybe. Why
Laughing.
kill yourself? Yeah.
Keeping it real.
yeah.
Yeah. Getting a rope.
Getting a
13
divorce.
loops. Doing 13 loops. Did you know that? My dad taught me how to make a noose when I was a kid. Did you know it's 13 loops?
Yes.
So maybe he wanted you dead too. Oh,
I did
sad.
know.
Yeah, there were times.
I'm very familiar with the noose and the number of. Yes.
maybe that's why people fail. It's an
What?
unlucky number.
The first time I ever learned to tie a noose was by this dude in the Marine Corps that was telling me, he was like, yeah, there's got to be 13. And I was, how do you know this? And he goes, I don't know. Yeah, you do.
I remember I did it in Scouts one. They got pissed off. They go, "That's not a nut that we ever do in Scouts."
You know what? You know what I was thinking
Whatever,
about?
it's so cool. All the little loops.
Yeah.
But you know what I was thinking about? Just to try and make it funny because I don't know, it might be funny if you happen to be a sick fuck like we all are.
Yeah.
But you know, like the whole sexual harassment video. Mm-hmm. It's like, and then they do the comedy version of that, which is like the stupid training, like all of the obvious things that they're pointing out to you and the bad acting and the so on and so forth, right? Mm. I know I got it in the military, and I think I got a little bit of civilian management training on suicide awareness and suicide prevention, right? Mm. And the more I think about it, the more I think about how surface it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and
I could check it off that they.
And it was more about, here's how to identify someone, and then you send them away. You send them to HR. You send them to a counselor or whatever. Yeah. And I was wondering, how can we just now be fucking talking about this? Because I am hearing the conversation being had now, but it's mental health.
You weren't in here when we were talking about the Robin Williams. Have you seen the Robin Williams?
Well, we talked about that for an hour, yeah.
Have you seen this, Carlos?
The documentary, yeah.
Inside His Head?
Mm-hmm. That on HBO?
It's like a 2-hour thing, right?
Yeah.
Not once. He hung himself. Mm-hmm. Not once did they mention depression.
No.
Or suicide.
It's not the word, no.
It's like...
They just danced around it.
How do you not? Not once. Not once do they talk about it at all. And it's just... that's like why my friend was the doctor. He said,
"Yeah, they don't talk about it."
He goes, "It just needs." He goes, "For people to hear people sit around and talk about it, like this is part of my life, and this is what it looks like, and this is what it feels like." He goes, "Just nobody does that. Nobody does that, and just to talk about that and to make it that it is. It's just a normal part of your life, and I don't think it'll ever go away."
I listened to
how was the conversation being had a decade ago?
Not at all.
There was no conversation.
No. Yeah.
Because there's shame. You got to release the shame from it.
Well, then they were like, "Oh, you're being crazy."
Yeah, just stop it.
Yeah.
I don't even think they talk about him being in recovery also as well during the whole thing either.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Because that was a big tail sign when he relapsed, and I was like, "What?" I remember hearing about that. I remember being at the Darkmoor, and they're like, "Yeah, he relapsed, man. He had like
Who?
Rob Williams."
Yeah.
This is what saves me, I think. The Mental Illness Happy Hour with Paul Gil Martin.
Told me about that. Yeah.
This podcast. That I don't meditate. I go to this.
You go to that, and that gets you out of your head.
It does.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel less alone because they discuss shit on this that we're discussing now, but then they go even deeper. And they talk about it, and I'm like, oh. And I'm like, me too. I'm not alone. Right. And he was a former comedian. Like, he's so fucking funny and dry and like really. Paul Gil Martin, Mental Illness Happy Hour. Mental Illness Happy Hour podcast. It's the only podcast I donate money to, which I feel bad, but I do, but I don't. It's helped me immensely. And on days where I'm down,
you can donate money to
podcasts. Yeah, Patreon.
Oh, he has a Patreon.
And like this one, It's Okay to Be Weird and Anxious. All right, I'll listen to that.
Mental Illness Happy Hour.
The Mental Illness Happy Hour with Paul Gil Martin, and this one right here, the one with Leanne Kreischer, Bert Kreischer's wife. Start with that one.
Yeah.
Fucking perfect, good. She didn't get too deep into shit, so it won't, I'm not saying it'll scare you, but like I've told you some things that they've talked about, on the podcast where you're like, I thought I was the only one who thought about things like this, or I thought I was the only one who experienced this, and all of a sudden it makes you feel like, oh, there's a fucking lot of us. Actually, there's probably more of us out there
than not. And that really
needs
to be the takeaway at the end of our show. For people that struggle with it, is that that's what I really want them to walk away, and that's why yours is different than mine's different. Yeah. And that's why I didn't want to do a show by myself. Yeah. Because we just have such different things, and that's why I want other comics that we can pull in and punch in if you can't make it or you can't, that we've got other people that, hey, here's the format, here's how it's going to work, here's the topics that we have to cover. Mm-hmm. And that when they walk away, that they're like, oh, I like those people.
Yeah.
I like them, and they struggle with the same thing I do. I'm not the only one. Mm-hmm.
So at the end, maybe we can wrap it up with, here's some things I do here's some of my coping mechanisms.
Right.
His are just completely different than mine.
Exactly.
And yours are completely different than mine. And his, he
like
doesn't
mine.
have them.
He does. No,
so.
he does. He has a
I'm
naked,
just
we both have a
kidding.
naked thing to do.
He does the naked thing. But we could all give them, we could all leave them with like, this is what helps me. And
That's another addiction.
Yeah.
Ellis has this naked thing.
So maybe that's our last questions are our coping skills or our
Yeah, because because you talk about the
Gotta
mess.
end in hope.
You gotta
You
you
gotta
talk
end in
right.
you talk about the
hope.
mess so much. We also have the other message, and then how, kind of like how
Yeah.
like AA has.
And we'll be
kinda
able to
like-
read the audience.
Let's do that. So we do that after the questions.
yeah, after the
From
questions,
audience.
just thank
We
you.
say, all right, now thanks for the questions. Now we're going to talk specifically about things that we do to cope and help.
And then we're going to give you a couple of resources that if you need help.
And I
just,
want to have,
I got this
want to have
headspace.
resources there, like NAMI, the National
Yes,
Association
yes,
of Mental
NAMI.
Illness. I want
The suicide prevention line,
That we have people from those groups there, and they have information.
Yeah.
And,
and then end it with don't contact us.
Yes.
yeah,
We don't want to be your friend.
yeah, no.
We don't need any more
We're not your
friends.
therapist.
We're not your therapist.
We're
Don't
in
DM
therapy.
me.
Yeah.
Don't
We have
follow.
our own friends.
Yeah.
We have enough of fucked up friends. We don't need
Need
any
more.
more.
Yeah. And even though this is a good night, we don't want to be your friend.
Yeah. And so when we're done, please just turn around and walk away.
I need a cosign
Right.
though. So I don't know.
Don't come up.
You guys do
and
you.
tell us
Speak
your
for
story,
yourself.
'cause
The end
We
of
really
it.
don't. We don't care. We don't want to hear your
We
story.
gave you your
We're
chance.
done.
You didn't say
Yeah.
out in the mic. That's on you.
You want to know what a comic hates? Somebody come up and tell us jokes
It's the
after the
message
show.
and how it is now.
Don't
If
tell us
that's
your
you,
story.
kill yourself.
The message. and
We're
how
really
it is
good at
now.
one-upping.
Well, yeah, because that's how when they tell you you're going to speak at a meeting, this is pretty much the outline. So but a lot of people they end up
Once you
going and just
start
doing nothing but
zeroing in
mess.
that this is the answer, and someone else has already tried that and it didn't work, then they're like,
Out.
I'm not one of you. I'm alone. I'm not
But we
part
have
of
four
it.
different, and we have four
That's
different
right.
answers, and we have four different things.
And
that-
even more, there's other people
Yeah.
yeah,
that
and
have
that's just four
other
of us.
solutions.
I think it's important for you to bring that up about what goes on in your head.
Okay,
Like,
here's another thing: is that I don't
That you
want
don't
there.
feel it.
I want there to be not enough seats in that place.
That's why I'm honestly January 10th. That's like 1 month from now, and we've got 2 huge holidays in the middle. Maybe we should just push it to the end of January.
Let me talk. I'll talk
Yeah.
to Jimmy.
If you guys do, I'm in Thailand. That's
Of course
the thing.
you are.
Yeah, I got booked in Thailand.
Yay for you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be in Thailand and Singapore and Vietnam for like a month. I'm gonna be running around.
When?
Even when?
I leave January 24th, but I come back February 11th.
Yeah, I don't want to wait that long.
And then
Are you around the 17th, the week after the? Because I know Jenny has the Thursdays is when she usually plugs things in.
the 17th, I'll come back from Reno because I was gonna stay up in that area and do Windover. What's it called?
Oh, Winnemucca.
No, Windover. Like
Windover?
it's right next to Salt
Yeah,
Lake
to-
City.
yeah.
I was gonna do that Nugget, the Carson City Nugget, but I'll come back and then do that and then just take the 8 hour